sleep study, we decided that we would like to understand the fundamentals of sleep and why we do it, and try and help others understand as well.
Yeah, why we do a sleep study? I guess from a personal standpoint, just a little bit. For me, I guess I just, for a while, I've had curiosity about things like, it seems like a lot of our peers, like high school students, tend to not get enough sleep when they claim to, or even so far as to claim that they're insomniacs, which I used to think that just means you don't sleep at all. And I wonder, how's that possible? Like, how do you go through a day when you didn't sleep the night before, when you just collapse? So, just curious.
For me, I just realized so many small things about sleep we take for granted. Like, if you've ever exercised and the next morning you wake up and your muscles are really sore, I always wondered, why is that? Or like, I always heard about REM, but I never knew what it meant. Like, I knew your eye moved quickly, but what does that do for you? Just those small things made me really curious. So our big question was, how does sleep affect us, and why exactly do we need it? I'll just say about that.
Our goals, basically, to develop an understanding of ourselves, of more specific facets of sleep, and ultimately educate, those around us, chiefly our peers, I guess, because it seems like that's where the problem lies, immediately within our school. Ultimately, to help provoke better sleep patterns in them, better overall health. So, throughout the community, I guess, but pretty much it was just in school. So.
For our research, we focus mostly on online stuff because sleep is relatively misunderstood. Well, it's not really understood yet by the science community. We're still exploring and we're finding new information all the time.
Right, especially about REM and movement sleep.
Well, one thing about the process of sleep is NREM has, online they decided, scientists decided to make NREM 3 stages, but it used to be 4. But the last 2 were so similar that they merged them together. But if we just went by text, which is outdated, we would have had the incorrect information. But because we use online, we kept the information prevalent to be like.
Right, and even our cortex, we did kind of dabble into that and get some good pieces of insight on sleep. But even that, if we would have just gone by that or that and other books, it in itself was even outdated. So we had referred to NREM as 4 stages instead of what is it, 3. So.
Supplement our research, we gave out a poll, a little questionnaire, and this graph you see right here is a map of the hours of sleep taken per night by the students we asked. The blue line is how many hours an individual student took of the 19 that returned our questionnaire, and the red line is how many sleep is needed. What's interesting is we found that on this side to about 7 were all no's, like they didn't get enough sleep, and then mostly yeses until about 18. These last 2, which were more sleep than needed, also said they didn't get enough sleep, which I did a very light amount of research on later because we found this after the fact. But it turns out that there's it's like being awake too long. You can overexert that part of your brain that is in charge of resting and healing.
So the main things we found out in sleep involves 4 stages, kind of what we just mentioned, 3 of non-REM and 1 of REM. The 4 stages are undergone cyclically, which means that they just kind of repeat, they go from one to the next, and then start over again, kind of in a looping manner. And that humans are monophasic by nature, which means that we have one period of being awake and one being asleep. Chiefly, it's supposed to be at night. As opposed to polyphasic, which is makes up about 85% roughly of other mammals, which just means, like dogs and cats, for example, their main source of rest is by periodic naps throughout the day. So, and while naps are good, they're shown to be beneficial to humans. It's by no means should be a replacement for the amount of sleep, for inadequate night's sleep. So.
Well, there's also circadian rhythms, which we found out is basically the internal clock that we follow, the biological clock that determines how much sleep we need and when. Because of our circadian rhythm, if you go to another time zone, you get what's called jet lag, where your body's still adjusted to one set rhythm, and it can't adjust right away.
Explain that a little bit more later, I guess.
Yeah. After researching, we culminated by holding a seminar to teach everybody about why they need sleep and give them the same fundamentals that we discovered for ourselves. And in the following slides, we will be giving you a very small sample of what we taught. So the name of the slide was Plus Sleep, which basically means we wanted you to add sleep to your life because you always need more.
The process of sleep, kind of like we just touched on earlier, with humans, there are 4 stages, and we're all 3 of not REM. One of REM. Let's just cover that.
This is stage 2 of NREM sleep, but this is a polysomnogram, which I think is worth explaining. This section right here is where it measures eye movement, and as you can see, since it's NREM, very little movement is present. If it was REM, you'd see blips that probably cover about here for each line. And then this is brainwave activity, which is very active during the second stage of NREM. If you saw the first slide, it would have been pretty steady for the first stage of NREM, and then even more sporadic for the third stage. This underlying section is called the K complex. It is an external stimuli, like consolidation, meaning if there's a knock on your door while you're asleep, your brain will hear it, and will use that to determine whether or not you should wake up from it, or if it's not a threat, you should keep sleeping. And then this tight little bunch right here is called the sleep spindle, and it's basically if part of your body is starting a process that it shouldn't be, it sends a little signal to tell it to stop, because it doesn't want to do a process that's meant to be done awake.
Like digestion, for example, like if your organs are undergoing peristalsis, contractions of the muscles, then it'll tell that to at least slow down, during this stage, and pretty much halt entirely once it gets into stage 3. As you said, it's when you're awake, you should be doing that. So. All right, REM, rapid eye movement sleep, is in a sense the deepest stage as far as mental functions go, at least. I mean, you're completely asleep. Your body is, your muscle groups are supposed to be fully paralyzed unless you have rapid eye movement behavior disorder, RBD, it's kind of a mouthful, in which you basically act out your dreams because your brain doesn't send your muscles a signal to not move, to be paralyzed. Which RBD is a problem. It's really a problem during REM because that's when you experience the most intense, often abstract dreams. So we got a video here of a dog with RBD.
He has a pretty extreme case of RBD. Everything that's happening in his dream, he tries to act out in real life.
Just consists of running pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, he was just removed.
That sucks.
Oh wait, no. Are you signed into one? Okay. Okay. Well, yesterday the video worked. What basically happened was, as the dog started running in his dream, you saw him start to run in his room, and he ends up getting up and running into the wall. And it was kind of funny, but it actually happens in real life to like humans all the time. There's cases where people will actually beat the person next to them because in their dream they were in a fight or something, and they just acted out and hurt loved ones or themselves.
Right, like there was a study that was done where people were taken in and to be tested on a condition, and there were actually multiple people. There's a video of that you didn't put on here, that actually did exactly as you said. Like some guy in his dreams, almost every night I think, would reach over and start, attacking the bed next to him, which is where his wife would sleep. So they were trying to, fix that, obviously, although there isn't really any known cure for this so far. It's still, pretty widely known. So basically, I guess if he wasn't restrained, he would, attack his wife when he was sleeping. So it's pretty serious in some cases.
Alright, so the last element of REM that's important to talk about is sleep consolidation. And the reason why this is important to talk about is because this is the part of REM that is still not very well known by science. Like, in this section, it has to do with memory handling, we know that much, but we don't know what exactly happens in REM. We think that it's measuring the emotional aspects of memories to help you determine for future events that are similar. But there's more to it than that. It's really complicated for scientists to try to figure out because there's just so many elements about REM that we just can't understand yet.
And also, in our little talk that we held, and right now, we try not to get too far into the specifics, the really meaty scientific stuff, because, no one would understand it, including ourselves, so kind of left that out, I think. Alright, happy time. Humans are monophasic, as I kind of touched on earlier. So you have one phase of being awake during the daytime, one being asleep at night. Circadian rhythms are typically 24 hours, like the interval in which the full cycle, in which we're awake and asleep and sleep and so on. But it's affected by sunlight, and actually studies have shown that it's even affected by artificial lights, like electric fixtures and stuff. So they did a study taking away basically all external stimuli from people, and it showed that most who were subjected to this actually naturally had more around along the lines of a 25-hour day if it weren't for work schedules and the sun rising and setting and stuff. So
because of how our circadian rhythms work, many problems can happen, or disorders even. Most common is jet lag. I guess before it's just whenever you travel in your time zone, your body needs to adjust to it. They say it takes about 24 hours to adjust for every time zone move. So if you moved to like California, which is your time zone's over, it would take 48 hours for your body to adjust to the new sleep schedule. There's also chronic non-24-hour sleep wake disorder, which sort of what John explained a little bit. It's basically your circadian rhythm is either less than or more than 24 hours. So you would want to wake up at 8 and go to bed at 12 one night, and then go from 8 to 1, then from 9 to 1, and then 10 to 2. They just keep on extending forward.
Alright, this little visual, I guess, at the bottom, 8 total hours napping, that's less than solid 8 hours rest. It's kind of self-explanatory. It basically means a solid night's rest, say 8 hours, is far better for your body. You heal more, you rest more than spread out periods of napping that would equate to 8 hours total. Basically because your body doesn't get the chance to go into the deeper phases of sleep, which is where most of the actual muscle recovery and memory consolidation, as you said, happens. About insomnia, we kind of what we found out generally, people with insomnia do indeed sleep. Just they have trouble getting to sleep, staying asleep, or sleeping as deeply or any of the three. types, which it's kind of a general theme that all of them are often caused by some form of depression, whether it be mild or chronic, drawn out. So anyway, there's transient, which is the shortest, that's less than a week, can be used as little as a few days.
This transient is often associated with depression. It's usually, but it can also be just like a long night of studying or preparing for finals. And then there's acute, which is between a week and a month, which usually is caused by some kind of trauma, whether it be psychological or physical.
It's generally emotional trauma.
Yeah, but it can be.
Yeah.
And then chronic is when it's more than a month, and this is almost always severe, and it can be caused by a number of things, but it's often caused by psychological disorder.
I mean, the effects are most drastic also. I mean, it can cause severe impairment of cognition and even basic physical functions such as walking properly, things like that. Some can get pretty messed up, I guess.
So, in summary, because of our research and our ability to teach a class, we were able to reach the community and lay a foundation about sleep and hopefully make better habits. We hope that this presentation also helped you create better habits, or at least influence you to have better sleeping habits and improve your health.
Part of Andrew and John's presentation was to answer questions as well. So if there's questions that people have for them, we'll take 3 or 4.
So, I was wondering, you were talking about how, like, dogs sometimes will, like, move a lot in their sleep, or, and I'm guessing humans will do that too. Like, is talking in your sleep, or is that like what is that exactly?
I mean, that's a slightly different, I don't know if that's a separate disorder entirely, but RBD is pretty much associated just with the muscle groups. You know, being paralyzed, you don't actually physically move. So I guess it can be associated with sleepwalking, but I don't know.
So, like, when I was younger, I used to sleepwalk a lot, so that would have been like...
That would be RBD, but you wouldn't be severe because you weren't a risk to yourself or others. But you never have complete paralysis in your sleep. You still have what's called hypnic jerk sometimes, like if you think you're falling, you'll kick your arm up. And part of it is they keep your mouth active because you have to breathe anyways. So sometimes since your mouth isn't paralyzed, you can form words just by breathing in with your mouth. And it happens to match what you were dreaming about. No?
Hey, did you guys do any research on lucid dreaming and stuff like that? Because I know that has become a big thing.
Oh yeah, lucid dreaming, we found out is when your body is asleep, but your mind is still active, so you're cognizant of what's happening around you. From what I found out, it's actually risky to try to perform because you can end up coming in a state of sleep paralysis, where what your mind pictures as horror comes to life around you in your room, but you can't move and you can't control your own breathing. Your body does its own breathing, and you basically sit inside your body and watch things happen.
Like, it's not always a horrifying event, you know, but I guess it's been shown to almost always be that way for some reason. We don't know why. But.
It's one interesting thing is in Japan there's China. Yeah. Okay. So we never did heavy research on lucid dreaming, but in China there's this very common, I don't know how to word it, maybe like waking horror, where they're lying in bed and an old woman comes in and sits on their legs, right? Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
In America we have a similar one, but instead of a old woman, it's actually a black body with red eyes. Just some spooky thing that's shared by a lot of people.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's sitting on your legs, which might kind of signify that you can't move, you know, like it's horrifying. You're trying to move, but you can't, you know, they're trying to run away. You don't have control of your body, so.
So that makes me wonder too, you know, there's a lot of TV shows around now talking about ghosts and things like that. Is this a possible debunking of any ghost ideas, that ghosts aren't really real and there might just be figments of our imagination based on dreaming? Because typically when you think of ghosts, they occur at night, right? When you should be sleeping, when your circadian rhythm's out of whack. I'm just curious if you have thought about that or
Oh,
came
it
across
definitely
anything like that.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And especially since you think about it, a lot of the horror shows, the guys have to stay up late, and they probably are already chronically, they don't get enough rest. So, yeah, it's more than likely that they have very small hallucinations even that are just in their own head, you know, because if you stay up late and you don't get enough sleep constantly, your mind starts to blend the dreaming aspect they're trying to work in while you're awake, which causes a lot of problems.
And it kind of makes you think of the whole UFO, abduction thing. People saying that they were sitting in their bed and being probed by aliens and stuff. I mean, that, I don't know, leaves you open to think about that. I mean, it could be sleep paralysis. They're having visions of aliens coming in, opening with things. I mean, unless they wake up with like some weird marks or something, then I can't tell you what happened. I don't know, maybe. What else?
Go on.
Why do we dream?
We dream, once again, this is not very well known by science, but we mostly figured out that we dream because it helps us explain our memories and then put it in. Well, what scientists believe is that we're combining our memories often to see how we react and to help us prepare for future situations.
Well, like as for REM dreams, which can get to be really, really weird, I mean, that we still don't know a lot, so.
The best guess they have is that it's trying to measure an emotional side of us that is more than just logical.
Very nice. Thank you.